In the dim glow of the tavern, Crown Prince Gil Mephius sits with an old friend, Lord Jerome. The prince, once known as Ghoul Mephius, is tired and cynical, musing over the carefree days spent drinking and laughing. But today, there's tension, a simmering unease between them. Jerome recalls the many battles they fought, especially one 8 years ago against the neighboring country, Garbira. That battle was their first victory and their initiation into the brutality of war. The lands they seized then had been stolen back by King Jano Onwell himself. Argos, now a crown prince, was known for his reckless charge into combat. Victory strengthened his reputation, but the taste of defeat was bitter. He had become a symbol not just of strength, but of ambition and the costly mistakes ambition can lead to. On that note, Jerome teases him about getting married, a subject Argos seems uninterested in. Since you became the crown prince, it's no longer your problem alone, Jerome jabs with a smile. But deeper thoughts surface as Argos contemplates the expectations placed upon him. His Majesty has become a coward, he confesses to Jerome. The bitterness in his voice reflects his disappointment in how things have changed. Once, wars were won not just by strategy but by sheer willpower. Now, it seemed like every decision was shrouded in political maneuvering and cowardice dressed as prudence. In a moment of honesty, Argos reveals his struggle with the burdens of leadership. "I'll worry about a bride after that," he shrugs, indicating the dire state of Mephius and the more pressing matters at hand. His friend Simon eventually joins the conversation, provoking further contemplation about the future of Mephius. Simon is concerned about their failing campaigns and the emperor's deteriorating image. Their conversation meanders into personal territories and old friendships forged in the crucible of war. Simon reassures, "I'll make my child grow up big in my own way," sharing his vision for Mephius with Argos. It's a hesitant affirmation of the young prince's ability to one day shape the course of the nation. Meanwhile, in the vibrant city of Birak, tension is simmering. 5 days earlier, Crown Prince Gil Mephius had led a punitive force from Apta to the city as part of a broader plan. Though his army was small, his resolve to strike on the day of the festival surprised everyone. The fear of a siege loomed large, with the populace fearing only dire outcomes. As the guild in Birak deliberated over whether to support or oppose the crown prince, it became clear how fractured their loyalty had become. A mysterious letter from Lord Gil Mephius declared that he was fighting for the future of Mephius. His actions were bold, yet many questioned his sanity, wondering if perhaps an impostor had taken his place. In this charged atmosphere, Zaj Heyman, a former guild leader, surprisingly supports Fedham's stance for action. It stirs the room into silence, for Zaj was known for his pragmatism. There might be connections to be had with the West, he suggests, planting seeds of both doubt and possibility among the guild members. The following dawn, amidst the tension, saw preparations for moves that could change the course of their tiny piece of the nation. Gil Mephius had achieved a temporary victory, gaining support from powerful guild leaders. Yet, anxiety lingered. In a quiet room, captive generals Walt and Zar Sidious face a stern gathering with Gil Mephius, reflecting on their recent failures. They're incredulous about their capture and the humiliation it brought. Walt in particular feels disgraced, a stark backdrop to the triumphant backdrop of Mephius' victory. Gil Mephius, taking the center stage in their confrontation, stands tall. His resolve hints at a vision more profound than what they had comprehended. This is the mirage of power, to project strength where there is fragility, to conquer the hearts while battling in the political arena. His enemies, and perhaps allies, can sense it, a determined lord willing to engage in the theater of war not just on the battlefield, but in the halls of power. Here, in the uneasy peace, the air is pregnant with the potential for conflict. Borders define more than territories, they define the resolve of men who stand ready to either defend those lines or erase them entirely. The question that lingers is, what kind of Mephius will emerge from this trial by fire? In the past, when he was still alive, Gil Mephius made a seemingly capricious decision that shaped his political alliances. He chose to form a friendship with the West to guard against the Empire's unrest. However, with his demise, the soldiers remained as a lingering promise. In the current moment, Gil stands under the scrutinizing gaze of breakfast at a table and faces the reproachful gaze of a general named Zaz. Zaz's sharp words cut through the room. "What is this, not eating?" he barks, and Gil, who was absent-mindedly looking at his meal, snaps out of his reverie. Despite being confronted about leaving his breakfast untouched, Gil refocuses, choosing not to immediately answer. Tension hangs in the air as the Crown Prince, having survived assassination attempts, feels the soldiers' eyes upon him. "Want to lend me your strength?" Gil asks, his tone steadied but his eyes betraying a flicker of unease. The soldiers are uncertain how to interpret this sudden request. Foka Baron, another of the Emperor's generals, breaks the silence. His expression is inscrutable, but there's a flicker of receptiveness to what Gil proposes. He answers, "Yes, I have the soldiers that you have led staying here," confirming an understanding that seems to elude the others. However, Zaz remains indignant, interpreting Gil's words as insincere flattery. If it isn't just a joke, Zaz interrupts, challenging Gil's authority. To Zaz, Gil embodies a mere shadow of leadership, and Zaz isn't shy to voice this sentiment aloud. Gil, though younger and less experienced than other generals, matches Zaz's heated words with a fervent gaze, an unvoiced internal struggle playing out visibly between them. Zaz, restless and a touch disdainful, invokes history as an admonishment: "Your yards will go down in history just as much as your father's." The confrontation escalates as he questions Gil's capability to lead the soldiers, reminding him of his inexperience and the potential fallout from their current discord with the Emperor. Pointedly, Gil retorts, "If the fact that you did not personally lose means that you weren't defeated, then why are you here?" His tone carries both challenge and appeal for unity, pushing against the boundaries that Zaz and the others have erected. The tension reaches another critical point when Gil confronts Zaz directly with a challenge of his own, questioning what Zaz intends to do. "Do you not think that I'm the person who should be killed at the Emperor? You won't let yourselves, anyone could predict it." Faced with an impasse, Gil's defiance does not waver. Although he knows the risks of openly confronting the Emperor's generals, he owns his position. "What are you going to do now?" Foka presses Gil, whose resolve remains unbroken as he considers what future steps to take. "Even if we act now, there's still time to act within his move. We can catch Solan off guard," Foka warns, feeding into the overarching strategy playing out on the tumultuous stage of empire politics. Gil's mind races, for before him lies the task of consolidating the remnants of leadership and guiding them forward. Shaking off skepticism from Zaz and Foka's interrogations, Gil exudes a quiet determination. He understands the gravity of his role, not just playing as figurehead crown prince, but as Orba, the once lowly slave now thrust into Solan's most dangerous game of chess. Constructing a calculated plan with measured confidence, Orba consciously steers the discussion back on course, knowing full well that inaction would spell doom for the Empire's stability. His organizing of recent defeats and the strategic insight to their current weakened state demonstrate an archetype of sagacity that binds Foka's support even tighter. Stepping away from the breakfast table and the gathering of generals, Orba, under the guise of Gil Mephius, moves forward, his thoughts echoing Foka's earlier questions about future intentions. "I can't stay like this forever. It's a sore point," he mutters to himself, both wrestling with and relishing the challenge ahead. The next phase unfolds swiftly as Orba leaves behind the breakfast, a metaphorical battlefield, and is reacquainted with Fedem, whose involvement was the prelude to Orba's current orchestrations. "You seem tired," Orba teases Fedem, carrying a veneer of casual assurance. But beneath the light exchange lies a tense understanding between them concerning Mephius's precarious status. Enacting the anti-emperor faction's plans requires nimble negotiation, and both know that time ticks relentlessly forward. Should the association with substantial figures like Fedem fracture, the empire's reinvention could falter irretrievably. But within this subterfuge remains Orba's firm resolution to exceed expectations, confronting Byzantine political structures undeterred. An intricate dance of diplomacy and covert maneuvering keeps Orba's focus sharp despite the stakes. Politics are indistinguishable from war, as each move taken reverberates across allegiances and intentions alike. His interactions with trusted allies ensure narratives are synchronized across the strategic lattice they've woven. Addressing the worries attached to facing future battles without sufficient support, Orba meets his engagements with measured confidence. An array of opportunities tether him to a deeper understanding of the role certain individuals, like Pashia, play within Barak and the mercenary aggregations. Pascia, a formidable figure from Orba's past, now operates on a front poised to tackle emergent threats across the empire. The men standing before Pascia are raw, fresh off their rotations, ready to imbue experience and valor within the ranks of those destined for battle. Pascia hasn't displayed his hand fully yet, but the promise of further trials weighs heavy in their resolves. When Orba finally addresses the young men thriving under the shadow of Pascia's iron expertise, it becomes an enlightening instance. If they're serviceable, His Highness will appoint you to his imperial guards, Orba announces with confidence, acknowledging the rough-hewed loyalty binding them to their emperor's cause. By accepting these recruits personally, Orba instills a sense of belonging, an ethos intertwining these disparate paths toward resilient unity. With these affirmations and the respect commanded through both speech and sword, Orba solidifies their alignment. His actions, mirroring the life cycle of rebirth from a different cloth cut from the shadows of insignificance, weave through those resilient knights standing ready to challenge fate's bitter turning wheel. Empowered with purpose, Orba bounds forward, intertwined within the burgeoning networks of power, intent upon melding tradition with fresh opportunity in the landscape of Mephius, and further plotting exertions upon its theatre of war. Always with an eye on destiny's overture, and a soul forged within the fire's demanding embrace, Orba continues, undeterred, toward leadership's perilous new dawn. In the aftermath of recent battles, tension brews as Orba reflects on his latest challenges. He finds himself caught up in a whirlwind of emotions and responsibilities, still wearing the metaphorical mask of the Crown Prince. Pascia, ever perceptive, warns Orba of the recklessness that could bring disaster upon them all, emphasizing, the prince's person isn't his alone. Orba knows this too well, as the burden of leadership bears heavily upon him. Amidst these concerns, Princess Velina's appearance in Barak throws Orba off balance. Her arrival stirs the city, her presence evoking admiration and hope among the people who are celebrating as if Gil Mephius himself had won them a reign of peace. But for Velina, the joy is marred by an urgency to return to the capital, where her fiancé, Orba, as the Crown Prince Gil, awaits amid political and military unrest. Velina's thoughts drift to Gil and their last encounter. Though a formal engagement binds them, there is a deeper bond forged in their shared trials. Yet, she wonders at his silence, feeling the weight of their uncertain future together. Her resolve steeled, Velina commands preparations for her return journey. Rogue Scion and others accompany her, respecting her autonomy to act decisively in uncertain times. Inwardly, she grapples with the pressure of her role, both as a bridge between two lands and as someone deeply entwined with Orba's fate. As Orba contemplates the next steps amidst the complex web of political intrigue, Gilliam, a giant of a man and ally, walks beside him, providing a grounding presence. Their discussion reveals the gravity of their situation as the city braces for the Emperor's likely retaliation. Meanwhile, Orba, still under the guise of the Crown Prince, must strategize his moves carefully to outmaneuver those who would undermine their hard-won victories. The narrative shifts to the heart of Mephius, Solan, where Emperor Ghoul Mephius grapples with maintaining control amid chaos. His iron grip strains under the weight of rebellion and betrayal, as rumors swirl of his fury leading to actions as desperate as sacrificing half of his soldiers to dragons. The Emperor's court, a simmering cauldron of fear and ambition, poses its own challenges. Even his vassals, including the petrified Coline Isfan, toe the line between loyalty and self-preservation as they await his orders with bated breath. Amid this, the Emperor dismisses concerns over a potential ransom demand for the captured princes Foka, Uria, and Zars, showcasing his indifference to their fates as mere pawns in a larger game. His cold pragmatism leaves even seasoned nobles like Coline visibly shaken. Anxiety mounts as plans are made in secrecy, alliances are questioned, and the looming threat of a kingdom embroiled in further conflict hangs over all. The stakes could not be higher, and every character is keenly aware that the coming moves will determine not only the fate of Mephius but also the souls of those entwined in its fragile destiny. In this tangle of power, loyalty, and survival, Velina and Orba remain at the center, their paths converging amid the storm. They stand united in purpose yet separated by the roles they must play. The stage is set for a reckoning that will test their courage and the depth of their beliefs in a land where trust is as rare as peace. As the tension chokes the room, a group of men contemplate their next move. Each one appears lost in thought, reflecting the heavy burden of their shared mission. The situation is steeped in anticipation, and the absence of Lord Simon is keenly felt. With him, they imagine they could communicate easily with Lord Rudelmo to send a letter to the Majesty. The conversation pivots when one man remarks, "If only Lord Simon were here at a time like this." Yet, they are quick to counter this longing with a reminder: Simon is out of reach. His estate, now under the Emperor's watch, raises concerns about which reports make it to the Emperor's ears. Silence follows. Galvanized by the mention of Simon, a shift occurs when Mephius appears unexpectedly with news. The dragon-hearted Emperor's appearance catches everyone off guard. He suggests that they could seek a blessing from Ghoul Mephius instead of wallowing in anxiety. There is an understanding among them that reaching out could provoke action, but the uncertainty of such a move weighs heavily on their shoulders. In another setting, things remain tense as the dragon god's faith convenes. Late at night, a select 6 from this group, a sacred number, kneel in preparation for a crucial task. Each received a message days prior, 7 in total. These were the best among the faithful, gathered discreetly by the ruler. As the air thickens with purpose, the leader distributes a sequence of letters. They spell out a dangerous mission, steal into Barak and gather information. The letters detail intricate tasks, including verifying critical identities and actions within Barak. The Crown Prince, Gil Mephius, is a focus, with explicit instructions for possible assassination. However, the leader warns, if you see an opportunity, kill him. The gravity of the task resounds among the 6 men. They acknowledge that acting would be at their peril, yet their loyalty remains unshaken in their resolve toward the Emperor's desires. Suddenly, their firm determination is momentarily interrupted when the room is plunged into darkness. Mysteriously, a light source flickers without warning, unveiling a tableau of luminous points growing rapidly within the darkness. The surreal environment creates an opportunity for a clandestine meeting to occur amongst the elders. Their discussion reveals deeper plotting, extending far beyond the surface. One elder ominously alludes, "We cannot direct fate." A crystal shows a vision, a mysterious glow combined with lucid diagrams portraying pathways of destiny. Whispers circulate about the Crown Prince. They deliberate about his authenticity, a potential imposter or a checking force, but resolve that he is a threat needing extermination either way. In the harsh chambers of the Emperor's tower, General Rogue contemplates his confined fate. Memories flicker through his mind of Odine's daughter and Rogue's son, once vibrant and full of life. Now, imprisoned alongside their fathers, the 2 generals' children face a grim reality. Reflecting upon past missteps, Rogue aches for their release. Their plight becomes deeply personal as they recall acquiring ships through Zarj Heyman and training an unseasoned militia in anticipation of opponents, illustrating their dedication to an impending battle for survival. Odine reveals, "We built new cannons." Both generals pursued avenues to enhance their resistance, laying the groundwork for their defense against looming threats. Amid this severe climate, Orba sits in a pivotal position. His choices now weigh heavily in the potential shift of power. Memory serves him only as a temporary balm, for soon he is called to act. The turbulence within Mephius magnifies with talks of noble sympathies and assumptions causing ripples. Orba, unyielding in his perspective, awaits the next move. Experience, action, and decision intertwine here, revealing how each element might spur historical changes throughout Mephius. While people bow under the pressure of events, individuals like Orba begin to understand the extent of their influence in such dire circumstances. Meanwhile, the region is rife with tension as Jerius oversees an iron grip on rebellious sparks. His actions underscore the quest for unyielding control as he crushes resistance in villages, highlighting his dominion. As tension broils, Raymond Peacelow finds himself amidst a social skirmish against the Peacelow siblings. Conversations grow barbed with allegations echoing truths well known among the aristocracy. The essence of those interactions underscores the intricate social dynamics as Raymond defends his stance, stating that he intends no message for Lord Jerius. That night, a solitary figure walks the path in the chilling breeze to the quarry, a scene setting the stage for future exploits amidst the prevailing shadows. As several young men block Raymond Peacelow's path with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity, they demand, "Oh, a guest." But when he states, "Sorry, but this is a private party," No outsiders welcome, they soften. Raymond has shown up unexpectedly, prompting confusion and a bit of excitement among the group. They apologize for their earlier rudeness, and their demeanor shifts instantly to one of camaraderie. Despite the hard lives etched on their faces, mostly from labor, there is a fiery determination that illuminates their eyes. They are craftspeople, farmers, or merchant sons, united in their dislike of something larger at hand. One of the men, a mason known as Dolph, steps forward. A subtle exchange of words passes between the two, acknowledging past experiences together. Raymond's presence is respected, almost revered, and this connection seems to stem from a previous meeting where he had found Dolph in despair over a personal tragedy, the brutal execution of Dolph's brother by Jarius. Feeling the depth of shared hatred towards Jarius, Raymond encourages Dolph to endure as he plans to make an appeal to the higher echelons for justice, targeting Solan for a decisive complaint. Raymond's objective is clear: seek righteous vengeance for the wrongful acts committed by Jarius using royal oversight. Yet, time has passed since Jarius's actions ignited chaos. The lands are still reeling, grappling with the unrest he sowed when taking control violently, and Raymond understands the urgency but is forced to practice patience. Don't do anything rash. Hold firm in the meantime, he advises, pressing for restraint while they wait for the opportune moment. The painful memories are fresh for Raymond. He vividly recalls the scene when the fateful event shattered their village peace. Hearing about Dolph's brother's murder, Raymond had ridden swiftly to support him, sharing his anger and grief. Together, their resolve solidified with a quiet promise of taking action, but patience was the virtue he hoped to carry. Raymond's thoughts push him forward. The opportunity they hope for lies in the movement towards Birak, where Jarius and his supporters are involved in consolidating their positions. Though revolutions of power were expected, this abnormality was shaping into a terrifying force, stretching towards Mephius and beyond. Among those closely observing were influential eyes, including Princess Velina, who had heard of the disturbances. Despite the horror surrounding them, she remains committed to seeking perspective changes and involvement directly with the people. Her presence acts as a soothing balm for Raymond, strengthening his resolve even as troublesome shadows loom on the horizon. Once preparations are made, with a symbol of hope, a charm folded by Raymond's sister, Louise, gracing his hand like a talisman, Raymond embarks determinedly on his journey. His heart is set on delivering his plea directly in Birak, cutting through enemy lines in a perilous bid for justice. Upon arriving in Birak, Raymond attends a tension-filled meeting with Crown Prince Gil Mephius. Despite the anxious hours of anticipation, he finds the prince composed yet stern. The air between them simmers with unspoken challenges, but the audience is granted swiftly, though interrupted by the entrance of Princess Velina. Her composed demeanor unexpectedly softens the atmosphere, underlining her emerging influence as she navigates the tense situation. As Raymond presents his case, it's her quiet nod of understanding that lends gravity to his words. Calmly, Raymond outlines the dire situation, detailing the mounting injustices. His admissions are plain yet potent: we can take Nedain without any effort. Do you have experience with warfare, casting a spotlight on the urgency of their plight? As the discussion progresses, Raymond remains unwavering, even as the weight of justice teeters in the balance. Each spoken word wraps tightly around the collective hope and anxiety of those who have suffered, holding on for their awaited redemption. As the tension escalates, Gil questions Raymond about his sudden change of allegiance, probing for the true intentions behind his loyalty. Raymond is forthright, admitting that he believes in Gil's vision of justice and honor. If it turns out that I was wrong, he declares, then very well. Then I'll also believe the world has no such thing as honor. This powerful exchange solidifies their understanding, setting the stage for what is to come. In a different setting, Boyce receives a letter from Raymond, who seeks help from Birak Fortress where his troops await orders. The messenger is another traitor, Dolph, who harbors a desire for revenge against Gil's army, adding another layer of intrigue and danger to their mission. The night of the planned attack arrives. The group gathers at a quarry to finalize their preparations. Disguised in plain sight, they will disperse into Nedain's 50 men, inciting chaos and targeting those who support the current regime. Dolph checks on his stored supply of alcohol, a key part of their plan, and signals his readiness. With weapons hidden and instructions clear, hopes run high for a successful venture. As Dolph blends into the crowd, cloak concealing him, he intercepts Raymond and makes casual conversation to maintain his cover. The men accompanying Dolph feign drunkenness, waiting for the right moment to strike, while Raymond remains oblivious to the trap closing in around him. Suddenly, a contingent of men led by Molt appears, boosting their numbers significantly. As they execute the attack, the quiet night erupts into chaos. The air fills with sounds of sword clashes and cries of pain, as Dolph fights back fiercely only to succumb to a fatal blow. The scene is gruesome and swift, a harsh reminder of the price of gambling with fate. Amidst the chaos, Raymond stands paralyzed by the betrayal and bloodshed unfurling before him. Boyce, driven by his ambition and lack of remorse for the common people, finds his plan coming to a vicious fruition. Shouldn't it soon be starting? He muses, his heart darkened by the vision of victory at any cost. Elsewhere, Boyce leads his soldiers to storm the Pisolo mansion, where residents stand no chance against their force. As soldiers fill the manor, fear grips those inside. Louise, visibly trembling, faces off with Boyce, who reveals he knows about the planned rebellion. Dragging her to an empty room, Boyce's eyes betray his ruthless intent. Back with Barak's battered army, Gil works on a strategy amidst the disarray that followed the earlier attacks. His focus shifts to consolidating his forces, and his thoughts wander to the promise of the major cities allying with him despite this setback. Meanwhile, Odin has orders to march, but vigilance is key. Scouts survey potential ambushes, alertness is their ally in this delicate dance of war. Raymond, in the center of the action, senses the tension and unthinkingly unsheathes his sword, driven by the urgent need to defend against unseen threats. The sound of gunfire suddenly erupts. The battlefield becomes a cacophony of shouting men and galloping horses. Raymond is thrown from his horse in the chaos, momentarily trapped and vulnerable. As Boyce's cavalry surges forward, Raymond's incapacitation leaves him exposed to the onslaught. Each new volley of bullets drags men into the clutches of death. When Raymond finally regains some control, his world has turned into a scene of abject defeat. Boyce's forces have routed them completely, exploiting every tactical advantage. Raymond, faced with this bitter loss, can only bow before the victorious enemy, desperate but determined to rally again. The aftermath is a mess of confusion and mourning. Gil gathers his remaining forces, acknowledging their dire situation. Emotions run high as they reflect on the Ryoka Plains' devastating losses, expressing deep sorrow over their failed defense of Barak. Tears blend with rain, washing away any semblance of pride. In a dramatic moment in the Pisolo mansion, Raymond confronts Boyce's demand for loyalty in exchange for his life. As he kneels, a reflection of his humility and survival instinct, Raymond battles his conflicting feelings of shame and responsibility. Gil, realizing the need for a new strategy, calls upon Rogue Scion. The grim situation requires a re-evaluation of their position and puts forth the necessity of action versus remaining trapped. Understanding the tactical limitations, preparations begin to retreat, guided by the necessity to live and fight another day. As the night unfolds, planning gives way to grim hope, a focus not on defeat, but on the continuation of their struggle for a just cause. The determined spirit of Gil and his allies remains unbroken, surging forward against the odds. Rogue Scion stands at the heart of a gathering storm, aware that the brewing insurrection might soon reach Nedine. With calculated resolve, he decides to send key commanders, including Odin and Jerius Abigail, to fortify their allies and prepare for what is to come. He advises, add to our forces by encouraging the people to join. The threat is real, and Rogue knows time is of the essence. Rogue's choice emanates from the tense whispers of rebellion circulating between Solan and Nedine. Jerius, whose position is delicate yet pivotal, departs with 200 soldiers to stave off any imminent dangers. Ensuring the safety of these areas is vital, not only for their strategy but for the people who depend on their courage and leadership. Around the same time, an ambitious noble named Boyce Abigail finds himself eager to prove his worth. He plans to bolster the ranks, driven by news of approaching threats under the command of the imposter crown prince, Gil Mephius. Boyce shares a sense of camaraderie and competition with his brother Jerius, and together they form a reluctant yet undeniable alliance against their common enemy. As Boyce sets up camp, he engages a young girl in conversation, only to be interrupted by the urgency of war preparations. Compared to Raymond, an experienced soldier familiar with local topography and logistics, Boyce's understanding of leadership is limited. Yet, the rallying of local forces and strategic positioning near the city lands are essential as they brace for conflict. Raymond, alongside his comrades Gil, Rogue, and Odine, sets up their base of operations in the rugged terrain, a testament to their readiness for the battles ahead. Raymond carefully dispatches messengers and fortifies the troops' position, clinging to the belief that right now, all that would escape from it would be cowardly weeping. The loyalty and steadfastness of these men are driven by dire stakes. With their sails set, the time for decisions and actions inch ever closer. Amidst these preparations, whispers of intrigue and ambition ripple through the lands. Emperor Ghoul Mephius faces growing dissent among the nobility and the military. As the Crown Prince's shadow looms ever larger, Mephius' society buzzes with rumors. Maybe His Majesty Emperor Ghoul will personally take command in this coming battle. The specter of military maneuvers augments the tension. Mephius readies itself for large-scale operations. In the face of widespread anticipation, the Emperor decides to exemplify his authority. The arena would be opened, the nobles would be obliged to attend. Ghoul's intentions are clear, to showcase his might and ensure obedience within his ranks. Simultaneously, in more intimate quarters, Simon Rodloom, a man steeped in loyalty, faced his own crucible of contemplation. As memories of pledges and past alliances filter through his thoughts, Simon stands at a precipice. His once steadfast allegiance is shaken by the Emperor's actions and the shadow of the past prince, Gil, that hangs ever looming. Reflecting by the light of flickering flames, Simon pontificates his role in the unfolding drama. I have still got a long way to go, he thinks, prizing the dusty books that surrounded him for insight. His choice, it seems, will be decided not upon steadfast resolve but introspection and hope for a future tied irrevocably to the fate of the empire. Meanwhile, in the depth of the night, Emperor Ghoul himself awakes abruptly. News reaches him, a fire has engulfed Simon's residence. Dread and disbelief cloud Ghoul's mind as he shuffles to learn more. The attendant reveals Simon often imbibed late into the night, his behavior erratic, yet causing no prior alarm. Ghoul's mind reels. Idiot, he mutters. The fire, a single bullet, and Simon's late-night musings over a suspicious box all swirl into a harrowing portent of conspiracy. Ghoul laments the troubling lack of forthrightness from his old ally. The Emperor, torn and distrustful, grapples with implications far beyond a mere house fire. Inside the box, Ghoul finds a single, uncannily rolled-up gunpowder cylinder. The realization of Simon's intentions and his symbolic gesture becomes painfully clear. Ghoul feels the weight of betrayal but also a revelation. His chief general's death sends formidable ripples through the empire's core. In this fractious tale of ambition, loyalty, and power, alliances will be tested, and destinies will be forged on the anvil of warfare. As the flames of intrigue and ambition lick ever higher, each character treads the fine line between triumph and catastrophe. In the palace shadows and among the army ranks, the slow churn of fate draws them inexorably toward a climax where only the strong in conviction may hope to prevail. The air is charged with tension as the Emperor of Mephius paces restlessly, anger boiling within him. Damned imbecile, he growls, disdain dripping from every word. It's a harsh judgment against Simon, who now lies dead, his fate sealed by imperial decree. The scene is gruesome, a brilliant red, spreading across the opulent furnishings where Simon met his end. The Emperor's words echo, astounding. Does even a man like you not understand? Don't you understand? It's a morbid moment, full of regret and fury. Following Simon's assassination, soldiers are summoned, the metallic clang of their armor cutting through the grim air. The Emperor instructs his men to take Simon's remains to the Dragon God's temple, signifying a reluctant but respectful end for the once prominent figure. Yet, amid this orchestrated chaos, there's acknowledgement that fears for Mephius' future won't be eased by Simon's death. Across the land, the political landscape is rife with turmoil. The soldiers march resolutely toward Solan, gathering more strength with every step. Lords such as Kilro and Idaro find themselves half-heartedly pledging support to Crown Prince Gil Mephius, a political maneuver more than genuine allegiance. The winds of fortune, however, are on Gil Mephius' side, a ray of hope amid the darkening skies of war. Soon after, efforts are made for peace talks, with Garbira and End striving to curb the impending menace, yet tension looms heavily. Zenon Owl, the second prince of Garbira, stands before an airship, feeling its powerful departure. His destination, Zyme Fortress, where conflict brews ominously. With him is his sister, Princess Velina, and his brother, Razaretta, each driven by deeply held convictions. There's a debacle surrounding Salamand Fogel, the vice-captain of the Order of the Badger. Zenon recalls how Salamand, in pursuit of status, relentlessly advocates reviving the war against Mephius. Zenon, wary of chaos, ponders Salamand's intentions. We must keep alert, he warns, cautious of Salamand's potential duplicity. Having already defied the Garbaran king's orders by crossing into Mephian lands, Salamand's recklessness stokes Zenon's fear. Keen on exploiting chaos, Salamand seems poised to orchestrate disaster, something Zenon is determined to prevent. Zenon articulates his concerns fervently, vowing to protect Velina and root out those seeking Mephius' ruin. For justice and Garbara's sake, he pledges, preparing for battle with a resolve tempered by fear for his family and kingdom. His airship cuts a path through the sky, unhampered by exterior forces, their final destination in sight. Upon reaching Zyme Fortress, the measure of peace welcomed by its very sentries is underscored. Still, caution lingers as Zenon confronts Salamand, seeking answers to the Alliance's woes. The fortress guards, weapons poised, transmit an openness tarnished by suspicion. Salamand, unfazed, lowers his stance, his knights mirrored in bitter resolve. A confrontation ensues, not with words, but through the unsparing clamor of preparation for war. If it turns into a battle here, Salamand reasons, we will hold strong. Outside, the clangor of metal armament crescendos. Zenon knows, amidst the rising tide of tension, that strength lies in fortifying defenses, an imperative against potential betrayal. It's a task made imperative by Mephius' own political volatility, shadowed by rumors of endeavors opposing the royalty. The mounting pressure forebodes grim days, a fight to avert an insidious civil war igniting from within. Desperate to sidestep ruin, Zenon views the landscape, a tableau of both opportunity and danger. Zyme Fortress stands stalwart, its defenses a testament to Garbaran determination. In the quiet moments before action, Zenon weighs these ambitions. His fears of Salamand manipulating their weakened alliances to catalyze chaos quiver just beneath the surface, a sword yet sheathed. Even amidst ensuring fortitude against an unknown enemy, Zenon bristles against attempts to unbalance his efforts. Despite garnering no palpable threat, Zenon's caution is merited as he directs his men, prioritizing strategic preparedness over hasty action. His determination does not waver, knowing the stability of Garbira hinges on calculated diplomacy. The third day dawns, framed against uncertainty. The familiar flight path reverberates with foreboding upheaval, a heavier weight than the measured security it typically harbors. Yet fortitude colors Zenon's steely gaze as he orders his men to sustain vigilance against Salamand's unwelcome ambitions. Battle lines carve through the landscape as Salamand marshals 300 soldiers, intent on breaching the border. Unseen winds of change stir the grass plains, anticipating a conflict born of deep-seated mistrust and burgeoning ambition. Dreamers and deceivers alike brace for impact, each prepared to fight for what they believe is theirs by right. Amid palpable tension, the call to action resounds as Zenon and his allies stand at the threshold of a pivotal moment, one that threatens to decide the fate of their world. Prince Zenon charges with his elite troops toward the fortress, igniting a fierce battle. Determined and resilient, Zenon leads from the front, exclaiming, "Charge!" His forces clash with the Mephian soldiers, and the intensity of the fight is palpable. Salamand, one of Zenon's adversaries, reflects on the urgency of the situation. He had planned to strengthen the fortress's defenses but was thwarted by Zenon's unexpected assault. The fortress shakes as arrows fly, and the sound of clashing swords fills the air. Salamand, pragmatic as ever, commands his men, "Hurry, all of you." His purpose is clear as he fights with ferocity, defending against Zenon's onslaught. Zenon, meanwhile, remains focused on his mission. He recalls that his actions are not just for victory, but for the sake of General Rakuin and Princess Velina. Zenon knows that a failure here could have devastating consequences, tarnishing the royal family's prestige. Despite the chaos and the danger, he maintains his resolve, reminding himself of what's at stake. In Solan, Orba, a masked warrior with a mysterious past, navigates his complex web of alliances and enmities. He mourns Simon Rodlum's death, reflecting on the man's gentle nature and the paradox of his quiet strength. Although their relationship was not deep, Orba feels Simon's loss keenly. Simon had been a steadfast figure amid the Mephian politics and had once voiced his support for Orba's goals. Within Solan's corridors, there is growing sentiment about the new hero, Orba himself, known as Crown Prince Gil. Voices are rising, questioning whether Orba is genuine or an imposter, fueling discontent and speculation. Orba, ever strategic, considers various plans to navigate these turbulent waters. However, Salaman's growing infamy complicates things, particularly with Garbara's tension simmering on the brink of ignition. Zenon and Garbara's forces face each other at Zyme Fortress, each aware of the delicate political balance. Zenon is keenly aware that their actions could shift public opinion drastically. He is driven by the thought, for General Rakuin. And for Garbara's future. Seeking respite from the battlefield, Orba remains reserved as his mind races through potential actions. The situation is volatile, and he knows that every move counts. Despite the urgency, a part of Orba fears stepping into a full-scale conflict without a strategic plan. Meanwhile, across town, Princess Velina finds herself in Barak with Teresa. Facing a different kind of battle, a slight cold, she is nevertheless worried about the political turbulence. Her discussions veer toward Salamand, a man whose name she's heard rumored in various circles. Velina is contemplative, recognizing the heavy weight Simon Rodlum's death has placed on their situation. Elsewhere, Layla, a woman with ties to the past, walks through the market of Barak, reflecting on her connections. Interacting with a seller, she learns more about the general mood and the whispering rumors of impending conflict. Layla's instincts lead her to an unexpected discovery, a message about poison, pointing her towards Tsarfar, a man with a mysterious past known for his ties to Garda. The revelation hints at deeper plots and unseen threats. Through these intertwined stories, the tension builds as alliances are tested and loyalties questioned. Each character, from Zenon to Orba and Velina to Salamand, faces pivotal choices, shaping the fate of their world. The stakes are high, and the path forward remains uncertain, filled with challenges both known and hidden. End mourns the death of Grand Duke Malchio Ladoria, a respected ruler known for his moderation and benevolence. The welcoming of Garbara's Princess Velina as Malchio's second son's wife reflects the late duke's strategic foresight. Amongst his sons, however, the succession decision is met with controversy as N prefers not to accept foreign blood. The eldest son, Eric, is impulsive yet dynamic as a leader, while the prudent Jeremy is deeply familiar with the region's culture. Malchio's absence leaves a power vacuum, causing internal strife as the brothers vie for allies amongst the restless nobles and mercenaries. A shadow now looms over End as an ill-timed rebellion takes root in Garbira, signaling threats within the territory. Amidst this turmoil, Eric finds himself chosen as the next Grand Duke, a role accepted with grave responsibility. In the presence of spirits, he relives memories of his father and brother, questioning his strength and suitability for leadership. Am I really worthy? Jeremy's serious demeanor hides a growing ambition as he watches the delicate balance unfold. He perceives his brother Eric's weakness as a chance to influence the land's future, casting plots behind closed doors, even as his thoughts occasionally betray pangs of regret. Discord erupts as once safeguarded vessels of sorcery in Saphir appear to have been tampered with. This sparks concern over external influences, possibly triggered by Jeremy's dealings, which now involve foreign military presence within the vicinity. Evidence of strategic ruin looms over, making allies out of necessity rather than trust. With borders tightening, Jeremy's surreptitious communications with both the feared Zonga and the powerful eastern country, All Ion, complicate matters further. Jeremy struggles internally with remorse but strives forward, aware that no amount of wisdom can change past actions. In Mephius, Salamand, a roguish figure tied to Eric's turmoil, rides amidst chaos as skirmishes escalate, noting the seeming serendipity pushing events forward. His presence in Mephius represents a wildcard, while Eric braces for imminent challenges unfolding to test his resolve. N's political scale tips further with the looming arrival of Alien's fleet, ready to wreak havoc under Alien's notorious prince, Caesarea. The young prince, reputedly as passionate about music as he is ruthless, poses a potential threat on the horizon. Whispers about the prince's fierce nature cling to the air, reminding all of the delicate peace balanced precariously on decisions yet to be made. As tensions rise, strategies are whispered over tables in candlelit rooms where leaders debate the delicate military and political maneuvers needed to outmaneuver rising threats. The clash of cultures and power promises a grim but captivating dance on the diplomatic stage, challenging the core beliefs and alliance loyalties that have stood for generations. Eric's leadership faces its sternest test, as decisions made today may decide whether End emerges stronger or crumbles under the weight of its ancient, magical heritage. In the heat of political tension and impending war, Eric stands at the helm of a pivotal council meeting. His words are like a clarion call, urging the necessity of demonstrating pride and dignity in their country's actions. He emphasizes the importance of bolstering the military and seeking alliances. Helion, standing beside him, echoes the sentiment that the fate of their country is hanging by a thread. Nobles in the court, gathered around the grand table, contemplate the gravity of their situation. Despite the dire circumstances, there's a sense of unwanted humor in the chaos. Right, no matter how appalling this is, there's still something humorous about it, Eric muses, reflecting the absurdity of their predicament. He's aware of the expectations placed upon him, especially now, as they brace for war. Discussions turn to the possibility of reinforcing their army with troops from the coastal countries, alliances that could potentially swing the tide in their favor. Retainers express agreement, acknowledging deep historical ties. Still, some are skeptical, questioning the solidarity of former friends. Eric, steadfast and determined, rises to address the concerns. May every one of the spirits protect us, he declares, punctuating his appeal for unity. His leadership is critical, especially now when divisions lurk in shadows. His words hold weight as they ripple through the audience. But the threat of civil war within their ranks remains a lurking shadow, reminding them of their precarious situation. In the sidelines, Orba grapples with mounting tension. The political climate is fraught with unease, and newfound challenges arise almost daily. In his solitude, he paces restlessly, beset by thoughts of the ever-shifting alliances and how he might navigate through them. As rumors swirl around the court, Gil Mephius must carefully balance on the tightrope of diplomacy and warcraft. In a rapid succession of escalating events, Gil's uneasy notion foreshadows potential downfall. He braces himself at the thought of negligence turning into civil discord. As political allegiances are tested and lines are drawn, the stakes grow higher by the minute. Orba muses over this knot of troubles as he fights for a semblance of order amidst the chaos. Across town, in the comfort of the princess's chamber, Velina wrestles with her own burdens. Her mind is a flurry, and distraction offers little refuge. It's time for a change of scenery, she decides, opting for a stroll. Her companion, the ever-watchful Teresa, notes the bravery with which the princess had previously witnessed battle. Despite the facade of calm, Velina's resolve hides the flurry of anxiety beneath. As they wander the grounds, the princess's mind remains ensnared by duties and the looming presence of war. Yet, in these quiet moments, Velina finds temporary solace. Her reflections are interrupted by the daily life of the city unfolding around them. Down near the docks, amidst the hum of air carriers and the robust activity of Laboris, the air crackles with determination. Crow, as energetic as ever, commands attention with her piercing voice. Velina smiles at the familiar scene, an anchor amid the shifting tides of her responsibilities. But the visit also stirs memories she'd rather forget. The political nuances of the ever-volatile Salaman and the ominous threat of All Ion hang like a shadow over their every move. Within this intricate dance of diplomacy and power, every decision is crucial, and each step needs careful calculation. Ran, another figure in this complex tableau, provides an intriguing contrast. Her interactions with Velina offer insight into the subtleties of human nature. As she quietly tends to her work, her presence speaks volumes more than words could express. Despite the looming concerns, a shared understanding passes between them. Simplifying complex emotions, Ran provides a unique perspective, a stark reminder of the humanity underpinning their grand conflicts. Through all the turmoil, one thing stands clear: their actions and decisions not only shape their destinies but the future of their entire realm. In a world teetering on the brink, where friends and foes are only determined by the outcome of battles yet to come, every soul's courage becomes the underpinning of legend. The time for action is now, and whether through sword, word, or wisdom, each character plays their critical part in writing the next chapter of their shared history. Orba gives Ran a flute, a gift from their time in the West, which evokes intrigue from Velina, the princess who notices Ran's expressive noise. Velina playfully suggests that perhaps she should also learn to play like Ran, establishing a gentle connection between them. This leads to musings about the past adventure to Nedane, and whether Ran and Velina share a secret understanding. Teresa continues with her daily duties, preparing for the midday meal. Upon considering Velina's planned excursion, Teresa appears to comprehend the playful dynamic between Velina and Orba. Velina herself, noticing Orba's approach, playfully addresses him. They converse light-heartedly about the complexities of understanding one another, even humorously comparing human emotions to those of dragons. Velina admits, "Since we're talking of understanding, Princess, why do you see His Highness as two separate people?" Velina's thoughts drift, pondering Orba's enigmatic nature and his elusive motivations, revealing her role in keeping parts of Orba's identity confidential. Velina relays her plan to Teresa, determined to act, despite the risks. She seeks counsel from Layla, her lady's maid, candidly discussing her intentions and laying out any objections. Velina is resolute, full of conviction to pursue her path, secure in her decision to head to Bayak. An airship is selected for the trip to Nedane, with careful considerations to ensure discretion and safety. They arrive, greeted by Odine, while Velina boldly declares her intent to continue to Nedane, even without Gil Mephius' explicit permission. Her unwavering will impresses upon Odine the gravity of her purpose as she asserts her Gabran heritage. Meanwhile, Jarius, hearing of Velina's arrival, reflects on the instability surrounding recent events and hopes her present signals a turning point. Velina's sincere interactions leave an impression on Jarius, juxtaposed with her prior visits inciting confusion about political allegiances. Unexpectedly, Jarius introduces Boyce, asserting familial ties to remind Velina of past connections. While Boyce claims familiarity, Velina remains focused as Jarius hints at hidden motives, leading to an intense web of political entanglement. At dawn, developments begin to filter back to Orba, who learns of Velina's daring journey. As he contemplates her actions and character, it's clear her determination and clarity of purpose have initiated movements within the larger political landscape. Velina's fearless pursuit and the implications ripple through the narrative, suggesting that her choices could indeed lead to profound change in the ongoing turmoil. Orba's mind races as he absorbs the strategic landscape, pondering their destination, Nedane. As the Air Force commander suggests giving chase, Orba shivers internally, knowing that heading towards Rogue's division is the sensible route but fraught with personal conflict. Later, upon Velina's return, Orba grapples with his complex feelings toward her. Though he understands it's a logical decision, his emotions are tangled, weighed down by a past where trust was both a rarity and a risk. The air is thick with tension and unspoken history as he murmurs to himself, "Liar, and a coward." Conflicted, Orba recalls a recent interaction, Goin inadvertently making a remark about being guarded. This triggers memories of when even a princess like Velina wielded unexpected power. The harsh reminder hits Orba like a blast from the past. What was that Princess Velina had said to that Imperial Guard Orba less than a few days ago? With growing unease, Orba's turmoil erupts into anger. In the solitude of a room, away from prying eyes, he slams his fist into the wall, desperate to release the frustration boiling inside him. He remembers Roan, his mother, and Alice, all swept away, motionless in death's cold grip. Orba is left to grapple with a simmering fury and despair, questioning his place in the tumultuous world surrounding him. Amidst this inner chaos, a dream haunts Layla. A familiar nightmare unfolds, a beast lurking in her mind, an embodiment of death's promise. Its eyes blaze with desire, clawing at her with the shadows of terror and pain. But within this chaos is a glimmer of her former life, a wedding day scene sharply twisted by fate as her husband's reassuring presence transforms into a haven of blood and desecration. Her screams of horror reflect her helplessness. Layla, feeling defiled and alone, is thrust into madness until a voice, unexpectedly calm and gentle, washes over her, promising safety amidst the destruction. The voice belongs to Tsafar, a sorcerer with murky intentions. He manipulates Layla's consciousness, intensifying her inner hatred towards Crown Prince Gil Mephius, a calculated move to use her in his grand plan. Tsafar's machinations delve deep into Layla's mind, uncovering hatred rooted in betrayal and shattered loyalty. In this dance of deceit and manipulation, Tsafar skillfully plants seeds of vengeance, spiraling her into a vortex of memories and past grievances. As he orchestrates her feelings and doubts towards destruction, Layla becomes a pawn in the greater scheme against Gil Mephius. Meanwhile, back in Solan, Princess Velina returns with a sense of poised urgency. Her presence in the imperial audience chamber introduces layers of political intricacies. The atmosphere is charged, with every eye on the young but resolute princess as she faces Ghoul Mephius. Velina remains composed as she presents her request, a moment heavy with significance. In a clash of past decisions and present imperatives, Velina dances around her intentions, balancing the truth with the careful tact of diplomacy. Her strategic mind not only navigates the Emperor's sharp gaze but also maneuvers the intricacies of Mephius's political landscape. Underneath it all lies the unspoken tension, hidden truths between allies and enemies, promises broken and remade, and Velina's own journey cupped in the hands of fate and power. Thus, the tapestry of a larger struggle begins to unfold as each player, Orba, Layla, and Velina, hemmed in by their pasts and poised on the precipice of their futures, stands ready to face whatever destiny throws their way. The princess raises her eyes, and with a certain boldness, speaks to the Emperor, saying, "Your Majesty, I have something to ask." Her words spark murmurs among the crowd, with some exchanging surprised glances at this unexpected turn of events. The Emperor invites her to continue. Velina Owl, standing firm, unexpectedly requests soldiers, not just a few, but 100. This shocks everyone, as it is unprecedented. She's asking for 100 soldiers. "And what would you do with them?" he inquires. Velina doesn't waver, explaining that the soldiers would be used to reclaim territory from Mephius. Upon hearing her request, the crowd becomes visibly disturbed. The Emperor maintains his stern expression, questioning the necessity of 100 men. Velina reveals the name Salam and Fogel, implying his connection to her need for troops. The Emperor mulls over this as Velina continues, persisting confidently in her unusual request. The court is agitated, some regard this as tantamount to a challenge against the state. The Emperor, considering Velina over his hand, acknowledges her bravery but questions the sincerity behind her actions, suggesting it might be an impulsive or emotional decision rather than a strategic one. Velina clarifies her intention is not only to highlight issues within the foreign policy but also to fulfill personal goals, including proving her worth beyond merely being a pawn in a political game. Her words unsettle those present. The Emperor, pausing for a moment, signals to Koline Isfan, his retainer, instructing him to convene the Imperial Guards to suit the princess for battle. Koline, usually composed, is visibly shocked, and yet Velina's resolve and the Emperor's surprising decision leave no room for debate. A knowing tension fills the air. Velina's courage is both revered and questioned. Deep down, her motivations for stepping into such a role are layered with political implications and personal determination. Koline ponders, realizing how Velina's bold move might shock Mephius, revealing both strength and complexity in her character. In another part of the hall, the audience reflects on the actions unfolding. An elder expresses concern about Velina's plans, but the Empress Melissa, acknowledging the changing times, speaks in support of allowing Velina her choice. The elders are uneasy but respect the Emperor's decisions. Meanwhile, preparations continue. Tanis, an Imperial Guard, is tasked with logistical support for the campaign. Despite his experience, even he is caught off guard by the princess's request and its ramifications. As they pack supplies, he exchanges words with Alnuk, another soldier. Their banter reveals the gravity of the situation. Both men understand the potential explosiveness of this mission. Tanis meets secretly with a maidservant, exchanging whispers and glances. Amidst the mounting tensions, this clandestine relationship offers him a brief solace, a reminder of life outside the impending conflict. However, his heart is heavy with the looming uncertainty of war. Salaman Fogel, on his end, plans a strategic move at Solan. He rallies his men as they prepare to meet the Garbaran forces. The soldiers with him are fiercely loyal, charged with a determination as they gallantly ride towards what they anticipate to be a defining battle. At dawn, they find themselves confronting unique circumstances. Despite expecting enemies, the scene reveals unexpected allies and confusion ensues. A dialogue with an unexpected figure disrupts their strategy, shaking their understanding of the battlefield dynamics. Salaman's confrontation takes an astonishing turn when Velina herself appears. It's like witnessing a ghost. Her surprise emergence on horseback silences the crowd. With poise, Velina challenges Salaman's assumptions and statements, asserting her role and reaffirming alliances, defying his expectations. Stunned, Salaman grapples for words. Velina's presence alone shifts the balance of the encounter. She reproaches Salaman, questioning the justification of his aggressive approaches. Her calm but firm voice emphasizes diplomacy over war, contrasting sharply with the warmongering backdrop. Her words cut through the tension, leaving Salaman to reconsider his position. Velina's proclamation, "I am here. This is proof that Mephius and Garbira are united," resonates. Her commitment to her cause is evident, underscoring her resolve to bridge differences through understanding rather than conflict. In the face of her conviction, Salaman confronts his motivations. Driven by duty and honor, he realizes the deeper impact of his actions on the future of Mephius and Garbira. Velina's presence and declarations present a nuanced perspective, reshaping his intentions in unexpected ways. Ultimately, Velina's defiance and bravery redefine the encounter's expectations. Her determination reshuffles the stakes of the game, demonstrating the power of diplomacy and unity amid impending war. As the dust settles, both sides reckon with the profound implications of this encounter. The moment is intense as soldiers surrounding Salaman and Velina shout, "Princess!" The reason for their alarm is clear: Velina has disarmed a knight and now faces a row of enemies, undaunted. Her steady gaze doesn't waver as she confronts them, wrapped in the cries of battle. Velina stands in the field, determined to finish what she started. She is aware of the danger, guns raised and death imminent, but resolve burns fiercely within her. In the chaos, Salaman attempts to defend her, trying to mediate as the sharp anxiety deepens in each heart. He calls out, his voice mingling with the wind and cries around him. With steely determination, Velina orders Salaman to stand back, her voice unwavering. "I am asking you if you intend to kill me," she challenges. Despite the weight of the moment, Salaman sees a reflection of Rakuin, a formidable warrior, in her eyes. The haunted memories arise within Salaman, those of battles fought side by side with a youth from his past. Yet now, faced with an echo of those times, the scene plays out differently. He hesitates, recognizing a fate intertwined with his own death. Amidst the standoff, a gunshot disrupts the air. It pierces the tension as Salaman falls from his horse. Velina's shot has found him, but it hasn't killed him, merely knocked him unconscious. Her expression hardens as she processes the bizarre reversal before her. With the unexpected turn, the soldiers' resolve wavers. Where once they stood ready to march against Mephius, they are left in confusion. Their efforts, once noble, are now cast in the harsh light of reality, a struggle for pride over oppression. As the dust settles, Velina sees no time for rest. She recognizes the importance of momentum, declaring the need to move toward Solan. Anlak and Tanis join her, and there's a shared understanding between them. Her journey home to Garbira awaits, but with Salaman, their captive, in tow. They venture forward, pausing at a relay base where she reflects on the past. Memories of her determination to prove herself to the crown prince of Mephius tug at her heart, weaving through the narrative of her life. She internally debates the decisions made and those yet to come. Prince Sanonowl of Garbira, Velina's brother, appears as they near the border. His presence evokes a familial warmth, a shared bond despite the separation caused by duty and alliance. Their reunion is subtle, sharing glances that speak volumes about their sibling connection. Discussing the fate of Salamand, Zenon reveals that the remaining soldiers have scattered. The conversation swiftly turns to matters of duty. Velina is cautious, knowing her actions could impact her homeland and the fragile peace they strive to maintain. Reflecting on their connection, Zenon hands Velina a letter, intended for the Emperor of Mephius. His departure is not without care and concern, feelings wrapped tight within the formality of royal duty. As they part, Zenon silently watches his sister, a mixture of pride and prayer in his heart. But the surprise of battle isn't far behind. Gunshots erupt as Velina's horse rears violently, throwing her to the ground. An undeniable instinct takes over as Tanis hurtles himself into the chaos. He shields Velina, bravely standing his ground, while in the din of the struggle, Alnuk's own concerns and actions brilliantly unfurl. Velina's courage shines through her leadership, her plans driven by hope for tomorrow. With the clash subdued, Velina's unwavering spirit shines as she navigates the treacherous demands of the alliances and enmities woven through their world. Her journey continues, marked by grit, a determination for peace, and love for her brother and her people. All while the wheels of power continue to turn, setting the stage for what is yet to unfold. Tanis finds himself in a tense standoff, swiveling to point his gun at approaching soldiers. His warning, "Don't come near me, stay away," echoes with urgency, emphasizing the dire nature of the situation. The sound of horses' hooves in the distance grows louder, suggesting that reinforcements are nearing. Tanis, alongside Zenon, spots several soldiers spiraling towards them, determined to rescue Velina, who is still grasped tightly by the soldiers. In a desperate moment, Zenon leaps forward, striking one of the men on horseback and sending him flying. His efforts are heroic, driven by the need to protect his sister, Velina. She, in a bid to break free, hurtles toward the edge of the road. Yet, as she lands, she collapses from exhaustion, her consciousness ebbing away rapidly. Zenon's gaze falls on her in a mix of anxiety and relief, realizing that the closest haven, Zyme Fortress, was within their reach. Zyme will take care of the princess now. No objections, he declares to those around him, though his words are as much for reassurance as they are a command. With the pursuit of Imperial Guard subdued for a moment, Zenon's thoughts race with possibilities and unforeseen outcomes now unfolding in dramatic ways. Zenon doesn't hesitate as he turns to another comrade, Alnuk. He hands over a medallion smeared in blood, instructing Alnuk to take Velina to safety. The medallion belongs to Alnuk, serving as tangible evidence of their struggle and sacrifice, a mark of the deadly trials they have endured. As Velina gazes up at Alnuk, her lips tremble, as though trying to form words of gratitude before she finally succumbs to unconsciousness, feeling secure in Alnuk's arms. Meanwhile, Salamand Fogel faces his capture with an air of resignation as Princess Velina is transported back by Garbira. News of the event spreads throughout the empire, raising concern and whispers of plotting vengeance. Orba, another central figure entwined with Velina's dramatic escape and capture, realizes the weighty implications and dangerous risks she exposed herself to. Her actions place him on an emotional brink, his mind caught between fury and the resolution that something significant must change. Orba contemplates the rumors and their possible impacts on his friends and allies. His thoughts linger on Gil Mephius's impatience and how Velina, inadvertently or not, played into the political upheaval that seemed imminent. With the shifting winds of fate, Orba prepares himself for the next moves, locked in a mental battle of strategy and anticipation of future challenges. A visitor arrives at Barak amidst this storm of activity. Young and visually imposing, he conveys his role as a former Imperial Guard with ease, marking his intentions with certitude. He seeks an audience with Mephius. However, Pashir, another key player, regards this new arrival with wary suspicion, indicative of the precarious nature of their current circumstances and the cloud of doubt hanging over encounters. In preparation for uncertain trials ahead, personal exchanges carry weighty significance. Alnuk hands Orba a blood-stained medallion, a silent testimony of recent struggles and an emblem of deeper connections with Garbira. This sacred token, with an engraved design of eternal friendship, evokes Orba's burning resolve and the inner turmoil he navigates, caught between emotional currents swirling around him. However, amidst this web of intrigue and earnest pledges, figures like Pasha and others see through the veneer, confronting reality with a sharpened focus and unyielding resolve. Inside the mansion's maze-like corridors, paths align and diverge, symbolic of the individuals maneuvering through political and emotional labyrinths. Pasha leads Alnuk, their steps punctuating silent reflections, each lost in thought about found allies, uncertain futures, and the tumultuous path shaped by aspirations for justice and balance. The presence of others in this politically charged theatre speaks volumes about the overarching tension and the foreboding sense of decision hanging over gatherings and warfare. Alnuk's interactions unfold against this charged backdrop, framed by specters of past allegiances and uncertain alliances, with characters like Alnuk, Orba, and Pasha preparing for diplomatic missions and subversive reshaping of their destinies. As alliances form and fates intersect, the characters draw upon personal histories and on-the-ground observations, tailoring strategies and choices in response to layered dynamics of trust, power, and ambition. Alnuk's resolve, Pasha's cautious acumen, and Orba's evolving perception illuminate the shifting sands they all stand upon, their courses set by honor-bound duties and unyielding hopes intertwined within a broader symphony of political machination. Foka opens his eyes, startled by a piercing light and the vivid memory of a question directed at him: "What do you intend to do after you win His Majesty?" At that time, Foka had no idea how to respond. Now, thinking back, Foka realizes that Mephius, his country, with all its rich history and valor, had gradually descended into a realm of fear, overseen by a detached emperor and his impassioned son, Crown Prince Gil Mephius. Foka, once imbued with patriotic zeal, finds himself questioning these paths of blind loyalty. He ponders how Gil, once perceived as frail and meaningless, has become the embodiment of vigor and passion, challenging his father in unprecedented ways. Is this really right? He wonders, reflecting on the changes he has witnessed. Having reached a turning point in Barak, Foka acknowledges the slow escalation to this moment. The war with Garbira, the emperor's unilateral decisions, all of it now culminated in a stark realization that action was necessary. The emperor's decisions were leading them to ruin, and Foka felt his heart and mind align at last. This time, he drinks from a glass of water, finding clarity and resolve within its simplicity. I, Foka Baron, will henceforth abandon my allegiance to the Emperor and devote my life to Crown Prince, no, to Mephius' future Emperor, Lord Gil Mephius, he declares to himself, feeling a rush of renewal spread through him. Meanwhile, in a different part of the Empire, Orba stands, facing tensions of his own. Having received a mysterious invitation, he navigates the intricacies of this newfound alliance with Miguel Tess. Despite the surroundings darkening, an unsettling intrigue clings to the air, building anticipation and apprehension within him. Orba finds the change in atmosphere unnerving and almost unrecognizable, like a dream wrapped in mystery. The cryptic message invites him to the old tower, telling him to come alone, an urgent and secretive note that made his pulse quicken. One potent question resonates within Orba: is this truly from Crown Prince Gil, or is there a deeper deception afoot? Haunted by the idea of his own identity being at risk, Orba contemplates the danger lurking in hiding. Memories of past faces and voices interweave, leaving him questioning the reality of his role. Is he, in fact, Gil, or is he a pawn in a much larger scheme orchestrated by rogue factions? This internal conflict leaves Orba feeling exposed and fragile. With this resolve, Orba dons his battle gear, hiding his troubled heart beneath the layers of armor. Step by step, each heavier than the last, he approaches his destiny. As rain begins to fall, mirroring the tension within, Orba makes his way toward the old tower, where the invitation promised a confrontation. The chill in the air mirrors the steel in Orba's heart as he navigates through the shadows, aware that danger might lurk closer than ever. Recollections of painful past moments, of masked personas and whispered secrets, accompany his every step. When Orba arrives at the tower, he braces himself for an encounter. It is there he comes face to face with Layla, a figure from his past, her presence as sharp and unexpected as the dagger she hides. Recognition dawns on him, and the political maze further complicates when Layla, with a hint of resentment, accuses, "You are the reason all this happened." Orba, struggling with the memories she invokes, categorically denies knowledge of certain events. Yet, as her voice wavers, memories of his past life threaten to resurface. Layla, perceiving his hesitation as deception, lunges at him with the dagger, recounting haunted tales of noble betrayal and stolen pasts. Yet, even in this grim confrontation, Orba finds clarity. Upon Layla's attack, Orba evades, his warrior instincts overpowering the chaos of emotion she tries to stir within him. As memories of his childhood and Alice intensify, Orba's resolve turns more desperate. Memories blur as he hears the echo of Alice's voice harmonizing with Layla's, urging him to wake up, to notice the truth within his convoluted identity. Even while burdened with the weight of losing his true self, Orba manages to repel Layla, whose eyes, filled with tears, reflect her own loss and desperation. The deadly dance ends abruptly, as Orba presses on with a finality to his resolution, determined to uncover the secrets beneath the masks they both wear. As Layla falls, she drops her guard, facing the truth of Orba's internal struggle, one she might have once understood. Orba, reminded of the complexity of identity and loyalty, stands firm, his blade still humming with the fierce dedication he clings to. Layla's attack, their interaction, an intersection of shared history, carries a weight that Orba will continue to bear, striving to navigate the paths laid before him with a newfound determination. The shadows of the night cast an eerie yet thrilling tension as several figures, disguised as soldiers, stealthily moved through the darkness. Among them were Orba and Layla, their presence hidden under the guise of anonymity. Had they been recognized, their mission would have failed instantly. Orba and Layla find themselves unexpectedly rolled with a group of hay bags as the enemy flees. Pasha, Orba murmurs, his voice strained, as he detects Pasha in the melee. With every last ounce of his strength, Orba rises, his sword aflame with determination as shadows close in around him. The clash that follows is intense, filled with sparks and echoes of steel against steel. Despite being surrounded and outnumbered, Orba fights with a tenacity undiminished by the odds. Layla, watching from the shadows, feels a strange, burning emptiness, a realization that her existence now centers around surviving this chaos for the sake of someone dear to her, Gil Mephius. The tumultuous fight continues, blades clashing and shadows falling. Orba, adrenaline coursing through his veins, deflects a deadly blow aimed at his face. The metallic ring of the deflected blade echoes around him, his instincts of survival sharply honed. Layla's mind, meanwhile, reels with confusion, torn between the emotions of past loss and present loyalty. She had once experienced love, had tasted the bitterness of loss, emotions now tangled as her reality shifts. Yet, amidst the chaos, there's a whisper of clarity. The memory of the Gabaran princess flickers like flame behind her eyes, mingling duty with unresolved emotion. Suddenly, Layla's realization is interrupted by a scream tearing from her mouth, just as a mysterious figure, Safar, stands tall in a courtyard. His focus, steeped in arcane concentration, is on the events unfolding within the tower. There's an intangible connection between him and the shadowy proceedings that he manipulates with expert control. In another shocking moment, Orba finds Layla suddenly rushing toward the glint of a deadly sword aimed at him. Her sudden interruption stalls the deadly blow, allowing Orba a heartbeat more of precious life. It's as if time slows in that instant, enough for Orba's mind to grasp the shocking magnitude of her sacrifice. The scene erupts as Orba, fueled by Layla's sacrifice, bursts back into the fray with renewed vigor. A desperate battle rages on, where allies and enemies clash as the specter of death looms large. Orba, now wounded and blooded, finds an unrelenting strength as the sight of Layla's fallen form energizes his will to survive. As another sword rises against him, poised to strike him down, Orba is saved by a sudden, authoritative voice, "Wait." His opponent hesitates, and in this brief respite, Orba recognizes the figure as Pasha. Decisions made in the blur of battle carry weighty consequences, yet here, Pasha's intercession turns the tide. With the remaining assailants dispatched, Orba stands amidst the chaos, his back exposed where scars tell stories untold. With a sense of unity, allies emerge from tumultuous origins to strike against common foes, led by emotions too raw to ignore. As these events unfold, alliances and enmities dance together. Safar studies the flow of history, positing that some streams are inevitable, beyond human intervention. There's a wisdom in his observance, as Orba, bleeding yet unyielding, faces Pasha and others who have been altered by revelations. The weight of Orba's identity resonates heavily. His transformation from a masked mystery into something far more human is almost complete. As his true self stands exposed, questions about leadership and loyalty arise. 10 days pass since Princess Velina took flight toward Solan, and in the ensuing chaos, soldiers prepare for the conflict promised by looming shadows. The strategic mind of Jarius Abigol is burdened by storms gathering on every horizon. As cannon fire erupts, negotiations and preparations blend into a harsh reality that demands immediate action. Yet, behind this military theater lies the personal vendettas and shifting alliances among Odine, Jarius, and their entourage. The unfamiliar territory provides Odine's troops an advantage, threading their way stealthily against Jarius' unyielding defensive line. As battle plans unfold, the actions not only ripple through commanders but also leaders like Foka Baron, whose presence signals unity against shared tyranny. The people of Nedine cry out in defiance, flickers of rebellion igniting hope against oppressive rule. The ensuing clash is chaotic, imbued with an urgency, grassroots resistance joining with Foka Baron's siege. As Jarius directs his forces, cunning and chaos spin around him, the townspeople's resolve strengthening their assault. Amongst this momentous strife, Drake, a soldier hardened by war, finds his loyalties tested. Accusations of complicity fly, complicating the volatile situation, but the adrenaline of battle unites them against a greater foe. Orba orchestrates strategic moves from within the swirling storm of war. His orchestrations steer battle's outcome, reflecting a sharp mind understanding both complexity and simplicity, each pivotal moment weaving into a larger tableau. As the skies darken with dusk, and battles fade beneath the horizon, Orba issues his final command, a decisiveness born not from mere survival, but from an inner truth acknowledged. The echoes of his shout, "Charge," resonate as courage binds the scattered threads of destiny into an unstoppable march. In this arresting tale of courage and alliance, the rhythm of war and the clashing of steel converge with human emotion. History's course shifts beneath Orba's touch, as strength and sacrifice forge new paths against the whispering darkness. With a city alive with turmoil and a crown prince's army approaching, Gil Mephius stands resolute amidst the chaos. He has just commanded a bold charge, and while not all his troops were fully prepared, they follow their lord with fierce loyalty. The battle has engulfed Nedane, Gil's forces clashing with those of Foka from the very heart of the city itself. In the thick of this chaos, the citizens witness the unfolding spectacle with fear and anticipation. If only the people, the villagers, and all the others could have been here to share this moment, Gil muses to himself, reflecting on the symbolic nature of the battle. It's not just about the fight, it's about the future of the realm. Meanwhile, Jarius and Boyce find themselves held captive. Discovered during their attempt to escape, they were swiftly captured and brought to a residence filled with tension and danger. Louise, another captive, lies unconscious nearby, adding to the gravity of their situation. Father and son exchange bitter words, Jarius chastising Boyce for not acting decisively when their troops were ensnared. Yet their argument is cut short by an unexpected visitor, Gil Mephius himself. With his commanding presence, Gil enters the room, announcing, "Make yourselves comfortable." His arrival catches Jarius and Boyce off guard, yet they can't deny the authority in his voice. Before any questions can be asked, Raymond steps forward, tension crackling in the room. The atmosphere is charged, with Gil calmly observing the scene, analyzing his captives. "What kind of stupidity is that?" Boyce snaps, his frustration tangible. Gil, unfazed by the tangle of emotions, proposes an unexpected solution, a duel. In a world where pride and honor reign supreme, Gil seeks a way to definitively resolve the altercations without further bloodshed. Boyce accepts, the thought of combat igniting a fierce determination within him. The duel becomes a symbolic battleground, neither side willing to concede. Their swords clash in a flurry of sparks, each strike representing the weight of legacy and future. The fight is fierce, yet focused, as the two combatants test each other's resolve. Gil suddenly steps back, announcing declared victory with poised authority. The winner is the most displeased with the current state, he explains, eyes gleaming with an understanding that encompasses more than just the physical skirmish. The aftermath of the duel sees Boyce, prideful yet acknowledging Gil's leadership. "You have won, Your Highness." With the duel's conclusion, even the captives must face the reality of their situation. Gil's resolved kindness surfaces as he offers a way forward for Louise, one tied to Raymond in marriage, solidifying alliances and fortifying loyalties in the process. In the shadows of battle and strategy, alliances shift. Foka and Yuria have joined Gil Mephius, marking a significant turn in the political tides. Just days after the city reeled from its upheaval, a messenger from the Emperor arrives, bearing news that reshapes the board, an invitation for Gil to Solan. The battles fought, the duels concluded, and the shifting allegiances signal an era of transformation, one led by a crown prince intent on carving a new destiny.